is Nick Briggs, and you're listening to Traveling the Vortex.
Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 68, and our pet Merca makes a return. Yay! I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks for making a Merca joke.
No problem. It's been a while since we've had any Merca mention. Although last week we did.
Broke it out, but yeah, it was
That was in preparation of this week.
That's right.
But we'll get to that.
Yes.
I was inadvertently, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't plan that.
A little bit of serendipity there.
Oh, there's that word again.
Serendipity. All right. Well, what did you guys do this week?
Tuck shopping.
Tuck shopping, yeah. Did you decide on one?
We did decide on one.
You didn't go with the brown.
Didn't go with the brown or the white.
Or TARDIS blue.
My vest and bow tie are very close to TARDIS blue.
Ooh, sweet.
Not modern TARDIS blue, a little older TARDIS blue, but
That's right.
TARDIS blue of... Well, it's more Matt Smith TARDIS blue than David Tennant TARDIS blue. It's Matt Smith's a little brighter.
But it's not like Sylvester McCoy.
No.
Oh, good.
No.
Yeah, no, that's a...
It's a real true blue.
Yeah.
And then the groomsmen will be wearing silver.
Silver. All right.
Sean, hopefully you like it because you picked it out.
I look sharp in silver, so...
I know you do.
We're going to look like Cybermen. We just have to get helmets.
Well, little does Keith know I have them on order.
Sweet.
That way
The steampunk ones?
We can tromp down the aisle.
What'd you do, Sean?
I had a very busy week in which I finally got one of my assignments for cinematography turned in and kind of got tore apart. It was a bad day in class. It was not a good day. And later that night, I talked to Mel. We were both kind of having off days, and we just decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go home. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to snuggle. We're going to go to bed early. That's our plan for Thursday night. And as soon as I got out of this completely horrific reaming in class, I realized that later that night was the mass media banquet, which is really kind of a big, let's get all the department people together and self-congratulate each other. I mean, nothing really happens at these things. But I'd already bought tickets for it, so I called her up and was like, well, guess what? We're going to not be able to do our plans because now we have to go to this thing. And the more I thought about it, the more I stewed, and the more I thought, I just don't want to go. I'm fed up, I'm tired, I'm grumpy, I want to go home. But, I'd already paid for tickets, so that's a big driving influence. So I went to the banquet, it's a free meal, so we're kind of like there, and nothing... The mass media department at Washburn's broken into, there's advertising and PR, journalism and PR. Advertising is part of the PR department. And now film and video. This is kind of a new division for them. And so we're going on with the night, and then they announced scholarships, and I've been awarded a $500 departmental scholarship for next year. Which was a surprise because I received no notification from the department. They were announcing, we're going to do scholarships now. And I'm thinking, great, something else for me to be upset about because I didn't get called on and then they called my name. And, so I got to go up in front of everybody and get a scholarship, which was kind of cool. And then they announced the student of outstanding, I forget what it is, outstanding student of the year or something for each division of the department. And Dr. Cranston, who is the guy I had in class who gave me this absolutely horrendous review of my work earlier in the day, is going on and on and on about the virtues of this guy. And he does a lot of stuff around campus, and he's helpful in the department, and he does film festivals, he does this, he does that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, who is this guy? Because I know everybody in the department. I don't recognize any of these, who would that be? And he says, and he's also the vice president of the Washburn Student Film and Video Association. And I literally had to take a moment because my next thought was, wait a minute, I'm the vice president of the Washburn Student Film and Video Association. So I won an award at this banquet that I almost didn't go to.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It turned into a very good evening that started on a really rough day. And then caught up on a lot of movies this weekend. So it turned into a pretty good week. Glenn, what'd you do?
didn't do much. We prepared for the storms that we were allegedly going to have this weekend, which
The
a lot of
storms that
places
we didn't have.
We didn't in
our
Topeka,
area.
yeah. A lot of places in Kansas. ended up with-
Stormageddon.
Yeah, Stormageddon was the perfect storm this week, and everything set up. But we didn't get anything here, so didn't end up getting called into work. But and then this week, actually the 19th, is Holly and my not Holly from Wisconsin. Holly and my 15th anniversary. And
God, has it been that long?
Yeah, we had planned to kind of celebrate this weekend, and then the storms thing came up, and I was afraid I was going to get called in, so we didn't make any absolute plans or anything. But I did give her gift of an Amazon Kindle, and she thoroughly enjoyed it.
Not only a Kindle Fire.
Kindle Fire, yes, absolutely. So
better, no
freed her up,
expense.
and that's right. Freed her up, and she'll get away from the computer a little bit now and be a little more comfortable, I think. Even though her laptop, she didn't like to sit comfortably with the laptop because she can't sit comfortably with the laptop. So
It's hard to do.
This will give her a little bit of freedom on that. So
You guys
she
are a
enjoyed
tablet
it.
household.
We are a tablet household because I now have the iPad and she has the Kindle Fire. So
Well, congratulations on your anniversary.
thank you very much. That's all I did. Not wasn't much going on this week. We finished our Sean and I finished our last shoot of this shooting schedule for
Yay.
the project we're working on. So we're on hiatus until late May, which we're on hiatus. Well, you're technically completely on hiatus. I've
You still
got
have writing
awesome writing
assignments
to
that
do.
you need to do.
Which is fine because it'll give me a little more time to work on it. And Dave's doing a lot of the editing now, so I feel for him because that's going to be quite the endure.
Which I did watch the sneak pilot.
I did too.
And was pretty impressed. It's a little dry in parts, but I think that has to do with
It's still a rough cut.
it's still definitely a rough
so.
cut. A lot of the graphics and things that weren't there, and I think it also has to do with some of the talent that was involved that wasn't on our
You know, though,
responsibility.
even looking at that, just having been there and shot that episode,
it looks a lot better than I
and
thought it was
then
going to.
editing this kid together, he sounds so much better than
Yeah.
I thought he would. So.
Yeah, definitely. And as with so many of our projects, Dave finds it in editing.
Oh
so.
yeah, it's just he really does.
Well, my work schedule's been all wonky because the
yeah.
morning show producer is on vacation Friday and tomorrow, Monday. So I have to fill in for her and go in at midnight. So we're
actually
recording a little early. And
we're rushing through this one.
and then next week, Monday and Tuesday, I'll be doing the same shift.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of
So-
stinks.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna miss you on the night side. Boys,
It's a long shift. Of course,
well, it's long shows because it's 4
Well,
hours.
yeah, it's a
worth of
4-hour
shows.
show.
Well,
Yeah.
it's two hour shows.
Yeah.
But
I won't miss you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's because I'll be here at night instead of at work
Yeah. I'll actually get to see you for a change.
it's true.
when I'm conscious.
Was there anything going on in the news this week, guys?
The only bit of news is that Karen Gillan joined Twitter.
Yeah,
Her handle is Karen Gillan 2.
her handle. Do they really call it handles?
Her Twitter handle.
They really call
That's
it handles.
what I've been
I
led to
told them
believe.
that.
Which is kind of funny because, like, a handle.
It
It's
goes
like
back to CB days.
yeah, exactly. That's that's the first thing I think of when I hear the word handle. I think, oh, it's like back in the CB days.
I suppose you could say it's your username on Twitter, but that's
That just sounds lame.
yeah, it sounds weird. I like handle much better.
And for those that aren't aware, now you know, but she already has 71,000 followers.
Holy cow!
She had, I was kind of watching because she joined on Thursday. And I was kind of watching as soon as the announcement came out because Arthur Darvill and Stephen Moffat both tweeted it out close together. Less than an hour, she had over 20,000 followers.
Oh my gosh!
How many does Arthur Darvill have?
Less than 70,000 now.
The unfairness of this.
And he's
bothers
been on
me.
so much longer.
I know.
Oh, no, wait. He has 79,000.
Oh, good.
So she hasn't surpassed him yet.
She's apparently a more popular.
She got there quickly, but, I mean, Thursday up till Sunday, it's 71,000.
Yeah,
That's nothing
no.
to scoff at.
No,
but
it's certainly nothing to scoff.
She's like Hunger Games. She made a lot of money early, but she doesn't have the same legs as the Dark Knight.
yeah. There you go.
Well, yeah, but
She's got better legs than the Dark Knight.
Okay, true. You got me there.
was Hunger Games number one again this week?
To be honest, I didn't see.
I didn't see either.
Or
Our
open
movie
this.
critic at work thought Three Stooges was going to give it a run for its money.
I've heard nothing
I
but good
scoffed
things
at
Well,
about Three
I'm
Stooges.
sure it's probably okay
It's
because
number
it's
two.
a Farrelly Brothers, but it's
Hunger
Come on,
Games
Hunger
is still number
Come on.
one. This is like
Is it
the fourth
officially
week. Yeah,
today?
it's official.
That's what people are looking for when they're going to go out and look for a blockbuster film.
Unfortunately,
Not
Cabin in the
Three
Woods
Stooges.
did not beat out Three Stooges.
Is it good?
I don't know. I want to see it. It's Joss Whedon. How can it not be
You
good?
checked in with the opening weekend sticker on Get Glue, so I thought maybe there was
because
a chance you saw
because I
it.
didn't get a chance to go this weekend,
Oh,
and I'll go
I
next
see.
weekend. And I'll
I
figure I'll
gotcha.
get the opening weekend and then
And
the
then
box
the
office
box
sticker.
office.
Will and Kara went and both raved about how fantastic it was. My friend Dylan from class went and raved about if you go see any film, you have to go see Cabin in the Woods because it was phenomenal. Which we promptly went and saw Titanic in 3D. But, you know, so
Which, by the way, there's a review on the website from Sean. So.
not yet.
Oh,
After that
no,
one.
that's right.
Not yet.
It's forthcoming.
It's forthcoming.
It is forthcoming.
I do have a Hunger Games review. Up
Hunger
finally,
Games
so.
was the one you reviewed.
Only,
And,
what, 4 weeks late?
and what was the other one?
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots, yes.
And I'm going to work on it.
Which is even later, right?
No, that's
Did you see it before?
He saw it
you
after.
saw
I
it
saw it
after.
that way, yeah.
You're
I saw
doing
it
them in order.
2
then.
weeks ago
All
or
right,
something.
you're doing them in order.
and I'm going to work on getting a Lennon Naked review up on the website. Which, if anybody hasn't seen it, stars Christopher Eccleston, and I don't know her name, but she played Tosh on Torchwood, and the guy who plays Moriarty in Sherlock.
Really? All three of them are in it?
Yeah, well, you knew about Moriarty because he plays Paul.
Oh, that's... No, you're right. I didn't know that.
I didn't
So-
realize Tosh played Yoko.
Our viewers can look forward to seeing Lennon naked on our website.
Now I've got to actually follow through
Review
with that.
of Lennon Naked on the website.
I'm sure I could find screen caps
Isn't that
of
what it said?
Eccleston naked.
I didn't
You
say
said
that.
you said our our listeners will be able to look forward to seeing Lennon Naked on
Oh,
the
I
website.
didn't. I
which-
didn't see that. I
No,
didn't.
they won't.
I didn't realize I said that.
I'm sure I could find pictures out there.
You will see a review of Lennon Naked on the website.
Well, moving right along.
Moving right along.
That's not how it goes.
It is.
Feedback.
It's dokie do, dokie do.
Oh, okay, you got to.
All
How
right.
come she's not credited on the box?
I don't know.
I'm
She's
sure
not
she
that
is.
important.
What?
She's dead anyway.
But this is season 1.
Did we know that Noel Clark wrote an episode?
I think I did know that.
I'd read that somewhere. I think.
Did we cover that in our review?
I don't think we did.
I think I found that out after we reviewed.
I think I did too.
Torchwood season 1.
Epic fail, guys.
When I was looking up information about him when I heard he was
I
showing
hope he
Star
wrote one
Trek.
of the good ones.
That's why we didn't mention it. He didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we got feedback this week. Song, cue song here.
Which song?
Feedback.
There's a feedback song?
No.
First
bit of
bit
feedback.
comes from Holly.
Trying to keep it fresh, keep everybody on their toes.
Oh.
You may not get it every week.
Don't worry, I may have just edited it in post.
Or not, depending on how.
Depending on how I feel in the morning when I edit this.
Do I get royalties off of that? Do I have to come after you for illegal use of
The
copyrighted
jingle.
intellectual material?
You get 10% of what we make.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
10% is 0-0.
Hey,
Let me see. 10% of nothing is.
just leave it at 10%. It
James.
sounds much better.
Holly writes in. She says, "Hey guys, great last episode. Nothing much happening in my neck of the woods. Just hoping that the weather would make up its mind. Then again, where I live, we could actually still wind up getting snow before May. It has happened. The school year is starting to wind down. Only 2 more months to go. I work as a bilingual aide in my local school district, helping non-native English speakers master the spoken and written language. I'm a Spanish/English major with certification to teach Spanish and English as a second language. Thanks for sharing pictures of your fish fingers and custard experiment." That would be Glenn's pictures,
Yeah,
because we
because
didn't
I
get
haven't
ours up.
posted your guys' up. I kept meaning to do that this week, and I never did.
I will be sure to give it a try. I'm
Sean, he's all mad. I didn't get any publicity for my fish fingers
We've
and
established you
custard.
didn't do anything this weekend.
I didn't do much. That's true.
I mean, yeah, a wedding anniversary, but you didn't make plans, so you
No,
could have been
it's
posting
true.
photos.
We actually we didn't make plans to go out or anything, but we had a nice dinner together, and we watched a couple episodes of Doctor Who. So
Oh,
Yeah.
which ones?
what you up
we
to now?
watched.
Now, see, that's interesting. That stuff you should share.
That's true, and it's Doctor Who related. We watched Let's Kill Hitler and Night Terrors.
Oh, she.
That was the kid with the stuff in the
Yeah.
closet.
Yeah, Night Terrors.
Yeah, that would be nice.
She's trucking right through.
She is trucking. She's going to be caught up here soon. She'll be caught up before the 7th series starts. So.
Nice.
And wait, this just in. Still not on.
Sorry, Holly, we didn't mean to interrupt your...
I'm in the knock it. Don't
if we
knock
didn't,
it.
If we didn't tangent at some
wouldn't
point
be-
in this
yes.
podcast,
it
it
wouldn't
wouldn't
be.
be Traveling the Vortex.
I'm in the don't knock it until you try it camp, and no Marmite for me. Had an exchange student last year who loved the stuff and brought some in for the whole class to try. Let's just say it's an acquired taste.
I would be interested in knowing what the percentage of students who liked it versus not would have been.
I'm sure most didn't.
Or was it a matter of the first person tried it, or you tried it and went, "Wow, this is horrible," and then everybody else said, "I don't want any."
On to Doctor Who related stuff. I recently got Shada in ebook format, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and reading it when I get the chance. I'll be sure to let you know what I think once I've finished. As to the spoiler news you brought up, like Sean, I, like Sean, have not been spoiled. And I know for sure that I'm not going to be looking, even though I'm the slightest bit curious. Looking forward to Companion Archive and more Big Finish audio reviews. Looking forward to watching the War Games. I'm waiting for my copy to arrive. Afraid it won't be here in time for the first part of Friday Night Who. But I'll be sure to send in my thoughts when you review the episode in Podcast 69. Also looking forward to rewatching The Arc of Infinity. As always, keep up the great work. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thanks, Holly.
I appreciate the update, Holly.
Holly, on the note of Shada, absolutely tear through that and read it. Write a review, but I'm going to say hold off on sending us your review, and there's a reason why. Sean doesn't like to tip our hand, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview here. We will be at some point reviewing Shada, the book, as well as we're going to be taking a look at the BBC webisode and the Paul McGann audio, which we believe is the same. And we're going to see we've attempted to get a copy of the VHS that was released many years ago that is bridged in narration with Tom Baker. So we're putting something together for those. So just hold off on that review. Don't stop reading it. Just go right on. But
And go ahead and write it up and just wait.
Yeah,
to send
absolutely.
Or you can send it, and we'll make Keith responsible.
You
for not
could,
losing it.
but yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
Phil
you
stuff.
know, if we hold on to something, that there's a chance that Keith would lose it. So
I've only done that with one bit of feedback.
anyway, but yeah, absolutely,
Wait,
we're
this just
excited.
Once does not indicate a trend.
Dr. Phil's email still not found.
We're excited to hear your thoughts on Shada as well. So
Ironically, I used to own the VHS.
I know we
Shada,
discussed that.
Not any longer.
we think we've tracked one down, so I think we're okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, our next bit comes from Chrissy.
Is that one mine?
Yeah, go ahead and read that one.
I'll
Sean.
read that one. Chrissy writes, comment question, Dear Vortex Boys. Before I get into my reviews of these audio stories, I just want to say that I've truly enjoyed spending my commutes to and from work listening to Big Finish. It was fun doing my Traveling the Vortex homework, and I actually found time to do it. Just rub that in, Chrissy. The Marion Conspiracy. I absolutely love how the Doctor meets Evelyn Smythe. I keep wanting to call her Evelyn. Every time I read it,
I called her Evelyn a couple weeks ago,
but it's not.
Last
It's
week.
Evelyn. It's so funny how he pops up during one of her lectures with the time paradox sensing device, and the best part of it is she just takes it all in stride. Everything unusual she sees, she can apply it in her worldview and just go right along with it. I also love the scene where Evelyn decides to go with the Doctor, and she starts packing up her handbag, especially that she insists on bringing her cocoa. The whole story is tailor-made to introduce Evelyn and let her show her personality. It's also pretty funny when she thinks that the Doctor is actually her ancestor. Of course, it turns out he's not, but that was a hilarious moment. Queen Mary was somewhat annoying because she has so reactionary to everything going on around her. That being said, even though the political intrigue is centered on her, she's more of a secondary character in the story, and I can ignore her. The Spectre of Lanyon Moor. I really enjoyed this story. It's kind of a lighter Scooby-Doo type of story. It was so fun to see the Brigadier meeting the Sixth Doctor for the first time, and even that he knew it was the Doctor just by his clothes. And I love Sankrita as a villain. He's kind of a silly mustache-twirling guy, but he fits in the story. This was a fun, spooky little ghost story. I don't know what else to say about it, although how many times can Evelyn get captured? Well, we're only halfway through the War Games, and I think we lost count of how many captures and escapes went on in that one, so at least a few more. Blood Tide. There were too many little details in this story that just annoyed me. I could not stand Greta one bit. Her accent was absolutely horrible, like nails on a chalkboard. Every time she said, "It's the devils," in that fake South American accent, which I will not attempt here, or whatever the heck it was supposed to have been, I just wanted to smack her.
It's the devils.
The devils.
It's the devils.
She reminded me of the biker girl with the bad Welsh accent in Delta and a Bannerman. I actually cheered.
But she didn't go like this every time that she finished a sentence?
I actually cheered when the Merca killed her in Part 3. And then you have Charles Darwin having his religious scientist angst-fueled breakdown, which went on and on and on and on. Honestly, I was ready for the Merca to pop out and eat Darwin just to shut him up. But I guess that would have messed up history. I wonder if Evelyn was a little disappointed with her meeting with Darwin since he turned out to be so whiny. I suppose it just goes to show you should never meet your heroes. Maybe it's a good thing she didn't meet Queen Elizabeth. I know I spend a lot of my feedback talking about the stories and not so much about Evelyn, but she is one of my favorite companions. She brings a different dynamic to the doctor-companion relationship, partly because of her age, but also because of her no-nonsense attitude. She's very sure of herself from the outset, where some companions start off with not much confidence. Of course, Evelyn does have some of her own problems to deal with in her travels with the Doctor, which I won't go into here because of spoilers. But she's a great character and a wonderful addition to the Doctor Who universe. Evelyn is definitely one of my favorite, and all credit to the writers at Big Finish for creating her. Chrissy.
Yep.
I don't know that I could have said it any better myself, Chrissy.
I would agree. I would agree.
I agree about Evelyn. We'll discuss Blood Tide when we get there.
I imagine she's treading on toes since, it features... who's that race that you like so much?
The Silurians.
The Cybermen? Is that who it is?
No.
Oh, you don't like Cybermen?
No, I do like
You
them.
heard it here first. Keith does not like the Cybermen.
I like Cybermen, and the close second is Silurians.
Really?
Oh, he's been... Dude, why are you surprised at that? That's
The
been...
Silurians
really?
were the first
You've been being
classic...
that proud? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
No, they were
the very first classic villains I was introduced
well,
to.
I know that, but I didn't realize they were a close second to the Cybermen.
Oh, yeah. Even I knew that.
Wow.
Daleks would come in third.
Well, I've been missing things.
It's a distant third for you.
Yeah. You guys introduced me to these awesome other villains, and then the Daleks come in, or so one knows. Anyways.
I think you like Ice Warriors better than Daleks, don't you? You like the Cucumber and Peladon better than you like the...
But he was... But Mikey wasn't an adversary.
That's true. That's true.
Well, let's move on to Marian Conspiracy.
Absolutely.
Tracking a nexus point in time, the Doctor meets Dr. Evelyn Smythe. Evelyn. I did the same thing.
After we just talked about it.
A history lecturer.
She needs one of them little hyphens or something over...
Yes.
Evelyn Smythe.
Evelyn.
A history
Evelyn
lecturer
Davy.
whose own history seems to be rapidly vanishing. The Doctor must travel back to Tudor times to stabilize the nexus and save Evelyn's life. But there he meets the Queen of England and must use all his skills of diplomacy to avoid ending up on the headman's block.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know what my favorite part of this story is?
What? Evelyn?
Evelyn's fantastic in it.
That's my favorite part
But
of the
my
story.
absolute favorite part of the story is here we have a historic piece that doesn't feature aliens as the main threat.
That's true.
I love that about this story, that it's a straight-out political maneuvering, and it's done really well.
We're stuck in the events of the time.
It's funny that you say that.
It doesn't bring in anybody else.
Typically, I wouldn't like that aspect. Because when Doctor Who gets very historical, sometimes they can be fun, but if they're not done right, they're just kind of boring. And Doctor Who got so far away from doing the true period or historical pieces that there was always some sort of alien or supernatural influence in the stories. And so you get so used to... In fact, in this one, there was a lot of times I was still sitting there going, I wonder when the aliens are going to show up.
Yeah, me too.
And I was quite surprised when we got to the end of it and they never showed up, that I was like, well, I even enjoyed that, not having that alien influence in it. So,
and I might have enjoyed it more also because I don't know a whole lot about Tudor time.
Stop. Tudor time. Sorry, I couldn't.
Well, I don't think you needed to in this.
So I found it very interesting learning about all the the stuff with Queen Mary and the Catholicism and her trying to eradicate the Protestants and
It made me
and
wish
all,
I knew more.
all of that information that's loaded onto us, like the history show that Doctor Who started out as
Yeah.
the
So
educational
that's
show.
what I was about to say. This story did what Doctor Who originally set out to do
Yes.
for children.
It
And
felt very
I
much like
like
an early
that.
Hartnell. It felt like the Aztecs or Marco Polo. Some of the ones that deal with just history. We're here in history.
Now,
you know.
Keith did point out. He said, there's no aliens in this one.
Well-
And I said, well, there is one.
Oh, the Doctor.
But do we really count him as alien?
Yes. So, no, I would
No
agree.
threatening aliens trying to take over the throne or anything like that.
There were no sexy fish vampires.
No sexy fish vampires.
It made me wish I knew more about the Tudor times and
It just sounds funny now.
Here's your
Tudor
episode
times.
title: Tudor Times.
Tudor times. Stop.
Tudor time. That's gonna stick in my head now. Because you're right.
I get more of like an Angel Smile Time puppets type thing with it.
I don't know that one.
There's an episode of Angel where they're investigating these alien or supernatural puppets, and they had this show called Smile Time. And so it's these puppets draining the life force out of children, and Angel gets turned into a puppet. It's a great episode, but that's what it makes me think of.
Okay. It's one of the Buffys I've never seen. Or Angel. No, Buffy.
Angel.
Angel.
It was an Angel. Season 5.
That's why I haven't seen it.
That's when it gets good again.
One of many I haven't seen. There was so much history that I wish I'd known a little bit more about it, because when it's flipping back and forth and you're not really sure which reality is, as Evelyn is being influenced by, well, this isn't right, and so the timeline has changed, or you get the. Let me rephrase. We're under the impression the timeline has been changed, and then we find out
Because
that we
of
just
the
arrived
fact,
early.
because of the yes, there you go.
That's,
Okay,
that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to say because this piece actually happens in real time and is
Right.
technically real events. I mean, it's obviously fictionalized in some way because Evelyn is a descendant, but there was nothing that was really changing other than the fact that I think the paradox here is the fact that he shows up and time realizes that he's about to take Evelyn to this time. And that's where the paradox begins.
Right.
But you think that the
Yeah.
paradox is happening to
It's
her
happening in the past.
because of the fact that she keeps, phasing out, and her ancestry is threatened essentially. And so I like the idea, the fact that the Doctor really created the paradox.
Yeah.
By coming across Evelyn and then traveling back to this time. But you're right. You're set up to think that there's an alteration in the timeline happening here, in which it really technically doesn't, other than the
Right,
Doctor's
no, but it
interference.
felt like, and
But yeah.
I
agree. Yeah,
I wish that
agree.
I had known a little bit more about the actual historical facts that were laid out, so that I could have gone into this episode and gone, "Well, no, you're right," as opposed to being up in the air about what was going on. But
Which I think being up in the air made it a bit more enjoyable because you didn't know what was going to happen.
I suppose there's that too. I mean, and interesting that we've had, this is now our second in a row where the Sixth Doctor has created a paradox, whether inadvertently or otherwise.
or duped into it. Well, since you made reference to Sirens of Time, by the way, are you guys aware that Evelyn Smythe, who was played by Maggie Stables, she was actually the voice of Ruth Lee in Sirens of Time?
Really?
Really?
Yeah, that was her first big audio. So, that was the
The snarling
witchy
evil woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which,
Witchy woman.
I knew you were going to go there.
talking about...
So yeah, she's
keep
already
setting
had
them
her.
up,
She
I'll keep-
she already had her feet in Big Finish before they decided to make her companion. So
And speaking of Chrissy's comment about, hooray to the writers of Big Finish for creating Evelyn and giving us this very strong character, I got to lay equal props on the actress, because she does an outstanding job of bringing her to life.
she does.
Well,
she really does.
And I love the fact that she's an older companion,
Yeah.
again, which is something that we've all expressed that we would like to see, and here we get it.
Yeah.
I think, well, in my case, it's because of Evelyn that,
Oh, that could
I've,
be, yeah.
I've so
It makes me
strongly
want to
felt
see it
this.
more.
That's where I come from as well, because I've heard Evelyn audios before, And that's where I've always gone with. I'd love to see that on the TV on the broadcast series. I would love to see an older companion introduced and see the dynamic between either Matt Smith or the next guy with an older companion
Or gal.
or gal.
Yes.
We have established that that's possible.
There's a rumor floating around
you, Neil
that it
Gaiman.
may be more.
We don't perpetuate rumors.
We don't
here.
perpetuate rumors. Sure. There is a rumor floating around that it may be more than substantially possible. That it may be something that's in the works.
Well, we're not going to go there.
But we don't perpetuate rumors.
I don't know what else there is to say about this other than the introduction to Evelyn is fantastic. And
It is.
her interactions throughout the entire story.
And I love the moment when Evelyn starts to suspect that the doctor is her great grandfather.
Well, they even and a cliffhanger on that.
Yeah, because that's where they go with that. Because the Queen promises her lady in waiting to the doctor to be a wife. That was fantastic. I love the. I don't pretend to know a lot about this era. Fortunately,
We could fake it.
no, fortunately, this is something that I learned in world history and remembered and retained was Mary's time and Elizabeth's times on the throne, and so I sort of knew it. I had a little bit going into it, and that was kind of nice from that perspective. That you guys were talking about how you guys learned something. This was something where, as I listened to it, I sort of qualified some of the things I remembered about history, and that was the interesting thing. Was though the Tower of London things were just fantastic. They threw people into the Tower of London. They threw people, and the Tower of London was inescapable, and Evelyn and the Doctor managed to escape. And the wonderful thing about that is, she's trying to come up with everything she can think of to try to get out. Well, there must be a circuit passageway. Well, the Doctor's like poo-pooing every idea that she has. And then when she comes up with the idea of, well, I'll pretend that I'm sick, and then you can club him over the head with a chair. And the Doctor totally, no, we're not going to do that. Blah, blah. And so whenever all the options have been put on the table and nothing is decided on, she just decides to act on it anyway, and she goes through with it. And that's what I really like about Evelyn, is that she's just a go-getter. She's just going to do it, And
From
she thinks on her feet.
Where he's interrupting the class with the beep, beep, beep noise in the back. And she tries to continue and says, I'm not prepared to go forward with this.
Yes,
Everybody will make it up later. And you, come here. From that moment forward, she establishes herself with both feet. And I love the fact that I don't know that Evelyn's character as a companion would necessarily work with any other doctor.
Oh, I don't think so either.
I think you had to put somebody as headstrong and opinionated, and
she almost humbles him a little bit.
and sometimes she does. I mean, I don't want to say boorish, but she's got that. She's not afraid to go to the mat if it comes to it. And you could only
She's
put
headstrong.
her. Yeah, you could only put her up against Colin Baker.
I think so,
and
too.
his doctor, and it works so well. And then later at the house, when he's like, well, I'm going to go save the world. Okay, I'm packing a toothbrush. And he's like, where are you going? If you think I'm going to sit here, you're off. Just all of the moments. And then later, my absolute favorite that I laughed out loud at was when he's getting off the rowboat in the Thames and falls. Falls in the mud, and she's sitting there.
She managed just to make it.
Is that how that's supposed to work? And just every opportunity to kind of needle him.
Yes, absolutely.
It's so wonderful, the relationship that they have.
The moment where you discover things are going awry is written very well as well, because at the end of the first story, when they're talking about the Queen and she toasts good Queen Bess, and the silence in the room, and you hear the glass break, and it's just like, oh. Wow. Okay.
Faux
so
pas.
that's your first indication.
wait,
oh my gosh,
right.
something is not right.
And
Time has been changed.
Yeah.
And then it's not until later that we realize, and the Doctor pieces it together faster than anyone, but that this isn't exactly the time we thought we were landing.
He
at,
outright says when they land, well, I don't know exactly what year, and she kind of chastises him.
Yes,
He's like,
yes.
all of the centuries on this planet, and you want me to narrow it down? It's pretty good to be in a 3-year window. I thought that was a great line defending the TARDIS.
I like how they don't go so far as glorify Mary, Queen Mary.
Yeah.
But they also don't go so far as to vilify her as much.
I liked that
And
aspect of it
it
as
strikes
well.
a very even balance with the character, especially because there are times that she's a bit endearing and you do like her and you feel for her, but there are times that you're like, okay, well that's the Queen Mary that we know, So I thought they struck a very good balance with the character as well, and everybody, all of the peripheral characters in this, I thought did a fantastic job. It was very believable, very believable.
George Crow and William Leaf, I found a bit obnoxious a little bit.
See, I got the impression that during that time that was the
that was just how they interacted.
Yeah, they expressed the intelligence level. Everything was just, we kind of go about our days doing our thing. Nothing's more important than beer. Well, that kind of thing.
I think maybe
and then their boisterousness kind of comes from the situation they're in, and the fact that they're part of this quasi-resistance that's being built misdirectedly.
I think my almost more annoyance with them was they were constantly referred to by full names.
Well, I think that was typical
whenever they
back then
talk
as
to
well.
each other.
That was typical back then.
I don't remember them saying that about Francois de Noailles.
But he's French.
He's French.
So they wouldn't refer to him that way?
Well, you would refer to him as to his title, which they, I think, frequently did. Well, no, they didn't, but he was the ambassador to...
yeah.
He's actually, honestly, he's the one weak link for me in this story.
I think
he
so.
comes across, and it's not the characterization, it's the character itself. The way he's portrayed, he's stepped out of the pages of the Three Musketeers, and he's pulling the Rochefort plot to team up with things like we've seen that before, but that's my one complaint about it.
But by going that direction to it, you expect him to be used a little more, and he's almost underused.
Yeah.
So I think that had they taken that approach to the character, and then he was used a little more or used better in this story, then I'd have been fine with that. But yeah, because he's underused, but we're going that direction with the character, I think I agree.
I definitely feel like it just didn't fit well for some reason.
Yeah.
Anything else about the Marian conspiracy?
Interestingly enough, it's written by Jacqueline Rayner,
Yeah.
who went on to write the Evolution of the Daleks two-parter.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
we
right.
all hated.
Yeah.
in third season.
Daleks in Manhattan.
And
Evolution of the
but then turned around and gave us the Sontaran two-parter.
Right.
In season 4, or series 4.
Well, moving on then.
Here she equated herself in my mind. Yeah, good one.
Moving on then to The Spectre of Lanyon Moor.
In a desolate Cornish landscape, littered with relics of prehistoric man, the Doctor and Evelyn uncover a catalog of mysteries. What is the secret of the Fogu? Can the moor be haunted by a demonic host of imps? And what is Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart Lethbridge Stewart doing in Pengriffin? Teaming up with his old friend, the Doctor realizes an ancient conflict is nearing its conclusion, and Lanyon Moor is set to be the final battleground.
Very Scooby-Doo. Huh?
I 100% agree with Chrissy. This felt like a Scooby-Doo episode. It was a lot of fun. It was mood appropriate. I actually had some issues with the fact that they've set this up to be such a supernatural event, and the moor is haunted, and the more the things are coming back. And it's like, no, it isn't. It's some alien that crashed there years ago.
Right,
Let's just get
right.
cut to the chase.
Yeah.
And I feel
Did
that
you
way.
kind of get a Hound of Baskervilles feel to
a
it?
little bit of that too. And I feel a lot about some Scooby-Doo episodes that way. Because I know it's Old Man Withers at the abandoned amusement park with a mask on. Let's hurry up and get to the unmasking. Right. And so we spent 4 parts running around on the moor, and I'm like, get on with it! Because I know there's an alien there. And then the alien showed up, and it was like, okay. But everything that led up to it was fine. It was fun. It was a fun episode.
Well,
Obviously,
and the brig is
the
fantastic in this.
This is my... I'll say it right now. This is my least favorite of the 3.
Really?
Yeah. However, I enjoyed this one immensely. And this is...
The brig is what brings this up.
I feel so... Yes, exactly. And I feel so foolish. Because it's not until the Brigadier is... And this is one of the ones I hadn't listened to ahead of time, before.
This was your first time?
This was my first listening to this one. And actually, this was my first time for both Marian Conspiracy and Spectre Lanyon Moor. Blood Tide I had listened to before, which makes this even worse. But the Brigadier shows up, and I go, oh, great, the Brig's in this, fantastic. Well, I download the MP3s from Big Finish, and I don't always have the cover art in front of me. And so when I just looked at this when I downloaded it, I realized that the Brigadier is on the cover of this thing. It was like, oh, that was a mild surprise. I know the Brig was in this. Yay, this is great. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that happens again with Blood Tide, even though I'd heard it before. Although we're launched right into knowing who it is, who the adversaries are in that one. But I realized later, after I realized that on this one, that if I had to look at the cover, there's a Silurian on the cover of that one as well. So
Spoilers,
when I download these from now on, I'm going to start looking at the cover art for them, because apparently I would know a little more into them.
Even
a lot of hard work and effort went into that cover.
It was a pleasant surprise to see the and I think even when I download them and put them in iTunes, the cover comes up.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, but no, this one I agree. It had that Scooby-Doo mystery feel. That was fine. It was a lot of fun. I knew there was something quite wrong with what's her name,
Moynihan.
The gal with the dog.
Yeah,
Mrs. Moynihan.
Mrs. Moynihan.
Yeah, I knew there was something that was going to come back with her. She was just a little too eccentric. And then
Philip Ludgate.
But how wrong? That surprised me.
Well, yes, I certainly.
I knew she was in on the plot.
Such, yeah.
But the fact that she flew to Rome, and broke into the place and stole the museum piece and came back, apparently within, a couple hours.
4 hours of each other.
How if you fly to Rome from?
It's from the Moor.
It's not very far.
It's not too far.
Huh.
And it was wonderful the surprise factor of that, because they set it up right at the beginning. She's going on a trip. We told you this.
Yes.
And then here she goes on the trip, and you all of a sudden the pieces fall together, and you're like, oh, man. So that was kind of cool. Once again, Unit establishes themselves as the worst roadblockers in the history of roadblocks.
And even the Brig kind of scoffs at them.
Yes.
And it was refreshing to see him. I don't know, maybe it's because he's been out of the system for a while, or maybe he's just used to this kind of thing and he knows it's going to go down to the wire. But it was kind of refreshing to see him not put his faith in the military establishment and kind of really...
Although he's at this point removed from the military,
right.
He
that's
has
why.
enough of a standing with them in order to get the things that need to happen. In fact, trying to block her at the airport and trying to block her coming back from the trip and not being successful at all.
Roscoe P. Coltrane and Enos apparently worked for units that were out there with their patrol car, blocking off sections of English roadside. Because
see, if Benton and Yates had been there, she'd have been stopped.
Oh, no lie.
Oh, yeah.
Benton would not have put up with it.
No.
The only thing that fell somewhat flat for me was the whole Philip Ludgate storyline. He was doing all this stuff, he had all the psychic research, blah, blah, blah. And then Sancreta comes in and just kills him, and it's just like, why were they doing all this? Why include them in this?
And that was the weird thing.
It felt just like they needed an extra element for the early part.
Flint was the one that was trying to set up was trying to utilize the energy or the power from this,
and Philip
right?
designed all the technology.
Yeah, I can't remember. Philip wasn't in on this.
That was a surprise. I didn't see that coming.
He was. Okay,
yeah.
that's right. Okay, because I kept thinking when Archibald kept defending him, whenever the one guy with what was the guy's name that was the old school archaeologist that was
Professor Morgan.
Yeah,
Morgan.
Professor Morgan's always complaining about the
Which the
technology that
doctor's
he's using.
ripping into him.
Yeah. And so when Archibald, or what was his last name?
Flint.
So when Flint comes in and he's, defending him, and then when they go off when he and Evelyn go off to
sneak in,
and then he disappears, I automatically cued into, this guy's in on this. He's working with Flint, because we'd already kind of been let in on the fact that Flint was doing something, because wasn't it at that time before that he had said something to someone that you don't know who it is? He's it's you, and he says she was getting Snoopy or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of so when he goes off with her and then he disappears and Evelyn gets caught by Flint, then I thought, I bet I know who that was he was talking about, and that's who it is. And so I thought that was kind of given away a little soon. But you're right. The weird thing is then
what was the manifestation of the alien guy?
Sankrita, when he comes and just pretty much just wipes them out. And you're
We're
thinking,
done with your story.
Oh, wait a
line.
minute! I was like, where'd that go? So that was kind of neat, though.
Enter the heavy.
I was fine with that because it was almost like we're not going there. That was, like you said, that was quite the surprise, and so I appreciated that as well.
That definitely veered off the Scooby-Doo track that we kind of were heading toward.
Well, I think that was the formula, was the Scooby-Doo formula, and then and that's what the ruse was for the listener was you think this is where we're going, and we're gonna make it look semi-predictable, and then it's not, and so that was a nice touch.
The one thing that kind of surprised me, and I guess from the storytelling aspect, I can understand why it was necessary, was the whatever she was, the traveler, the hitchhiker. Who met up with Evelyn on the moor and got shredded.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
I didn't
and quite honestly, that felt very gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
It did.
For being an audio adventure, it was like, oh God, I can see it. And because that happened right at that was the part 2 cliffhanger, wasn't it?
Part 1 cliffhanger.
No,
was
it
it
was part 2 because Evelyn hadn't gone back to the.
Yeah,
Because
that's
she escaped when
okay.
the gal got.
But it was almost, it felt like
No,
it
that's
was
a part 1 because
Is
she's
it part
on the
one?
way back from research.
Okay, so it was after she'd
Oh, you're
researched,
right.
not when she escaped. You're
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Odd bit of trivia: the woman who played that character, Nikki, also played the guide in the museum that Moynihan knocks unconscious.
Really?
Well, yeah. That doesn't surprise me. In fact,
No.
if you go through this book, there's a lot of people that play several roles.
It doesn't surprise me
Yeah.
that she played 2 roles,
Especially
but
in
she
an audio.
sounded completely different because
She did a really good
she had
job.
a really good Italian,
Yeah, she did.
Italian accent in it.
And then she also played a Corporal Croft in part 4. I don't remember that
First name
character.
Laura,
I bet they did that on purpose.
probably. But I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that felt that was a little.
Yeah, it certainly
Which
was.
I feel like such an old fogey when I start complaining that Doctor Who's too violent. What did happen to me, man?
Way to be Mary Whitehouse.
I know. Jeez. Like I said, it felt very formulated just so that we can give Evelyn a scare, but not off her. Because if she'd been out there on her own and then we'd saved her last minute, maybe it would have, changed that dynamic of what we think this evil force is. Maybe we needed to see how
vicious it is.
It can be.
Well, and here's the interesting thing:
For
is
being an imp, it seems very.
here's something else that I think that it lends to the character of Evelyn, because everyone, especially the Brigadier, seems very concerned about her.
Yeah.
You need a rest. Don't worry about that. Don't focus on that. Be strong. And she is. And she's like, she bounces right back, and she's ready to go investigate Finch's house.
Yeah.
So,
What's the first thing she does?
Filch.
Sneaks out, and Flint
Flint.
sneaks out of the archaeologist
Everybody knows I'm not good with names.
and goes off on her own. So
Yeah.
One of the things that I felt Evelyn was overshadowed in this story by the Brig. And I liked her so much in the last story that she went off and did great stuff on her own. But I was constantly like, okay, let's get back to the Doctor and the Brig. I just felt that way through the entire story. Okay, yeah, she got captured. Okay, she's going to escape. It's interesting, but let's get back to the Doctor and the Brig. And that's one thing I feel kind of lacked in this story.
Keith's got the squeaky chair, so anybody that's curious, we have new mics.
My chair's
We have
squeaky.
new mics, and we can hear Keith's chair.
we might
Maybe you
have
gotta
to swap it
switch.
out with that one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
now.
he says.
Oh, like
Yeah,
that.
he just keeps saying that.
The shuffling sound you now hear is
Yeah,
the
it's
musical
the chair
chairs
being
at the
changed.
Vortex studio.
I kept hearing it. I was like, it's not me, because I keep moving and it doesn't go away and then stop.
As I try not to whack the table. Ow, that was my toe.
The sound you just heard was Keith setting a squeaky chair down on his big toe.
Why are you being careful? The squeak was making more noise than you're doing now. Just get it done.
Because there were cords and I was being
Oh,
careful so
all
I
right.
didn't trap you under the chair.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you not pinching my cord over there either, so that
Is this less squeaky?
Wiggle your
yes,
butt.
much better. Much
No
better.
squeak.
No
All right.
squeak.
No squeak. All right. Anyway, by the way, for the listener, we all are on new mics this week. Sean and I were on new mics last week, so if you noticed a little different audio last week, hopefully this week's a lot better. And fortunately, they pick up a lot of the sound in the room because they're very, very high-powered mics. So,
Ow, my toe.
I'm saving those who listen with earbuds, and they're wondering what is that squeak that keeps happening in the background. Anyway, should we move on? Or you guys have anything else you want to say about the Spectre of Lanyon Moore?
Not that it's not easy to love the Brig in everything he's in.
The ending.
Oh my gosh!
Got to talk about the ending.
How did I not? Yeah, no, absolutely. We can't skip over that because he gets the heroic
The
moment.
sound you're now hearing is Glenn flipping
Changing
pages in his Big Finish Companion,
the
Volume
heroic
1,
moment.
written by Richard Dinnick.
All right,
And he's still
all right,
on the
all
wrong
right,
page.
All right.
Yeah, he is still on the wrong
And
page.
that was Minuet. Yeah. And speaking of, that's what I was thinking of. Minuet is we get the big heroic moment in Minuet from the Brig, who
Faking a heart attack.
fakes the heart attack
Yeah.
and opens the sound channel to expose the bad guy.
But this is even
one
more
is
heroic.
even more of a hands-on man of action in his, nearing his golden years at least.
Willing to sacrifice himself.
Fantastic moment for him, and I loved that. And that was the old brigadier willing to go to toes. I mean, that was just I absolutely loved that moment. Didn't expect it either. I wondered when he was being so coy with say the guy's name again.
Sangria.
Okay, it's like the drink
Sankrita.
Sankrita. So it's not
Sangria.
It's not sangria. Okay,
But it sounds
not the
similar.
red drink they sell at.
Not wine and what is it?
Everybody buys it.
I don't know, adult
Red
Kool-Aid.
Lobster. Adult Kool-Aid.
Dude,
Anyway.
Red Lobster Sangria is the best.
No, it's
ever.
wine and orange juice and
Does it
something
matter?
else.
It's him being coy with Sankria.
Tangents, Glenn.
Whatever.
Tangents.
And I'm trying to get you to work on time, Keith.
I think there might be tangerines in it.
And so, I don't know what I was talking about. Blood Tide.
I also really like the Brig's departure and the Doctor. I'd love to meet this wife of yours sometime.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
It didn't quite give me that warm heart feeling that the Eighth Doctor's departure in Minuet in Hell
I would agree.
had. But it was
Well,
still a fantastic
Because at that
goodbye.
point, the Eighth Doctor had met the Brig's wife.
Oh.
So
Well, then there we
you'll
go.
find that out in the CTV series, too. So. He meets her as the Seventh Doctor in Battlefield.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that one. Would you just spoil it for him? Yeah, it was nice. Now, I thought it was a little serendipitous that whatever piece he pulled out of the computer core of the spaceship did happen to be important. Because he could have sauntered off the flying saucer and gone, oh, that's all right, I grabbed this. And the Doctor could have gone, that's a windshield wiper.
That took the fluid out.
That's mentioned. The device that he pulls
Well, wasn't it the
is
stone?
mentioned
Oh, you're
by,
right.
It was the stone
it's
that
the
he
stone
brought
You're right.
that he
early on.
required in order to,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
You're right. I
Which
forgot.
I-
about that.
So he knew what he was looking
He knew
for.
what he was
I love the twist that the fact that the alien's brother didn't actually depart or leave him on purpose, that the alien's brother died in the process too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this whole revenge thing was built
Was
on
for
a,
nothing.
Yeah, was
Yeah.
built on a misconception.
Yeah, I really like that
Yeah,
aspect
that was
of it.
cool. That was cool.
I think we need to get the Brig a bazooka.
It would solve so many problems.
It should just
So
be
you could-
standard issue.
Fired at the
The
robot.
Brig is in
Because
this.
it worked so well.
Get him a bazooka. It's a laser.
Oh, it was a laser. That's right.
That was the new high fangled. Oh yeah, take this. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
A laser bounced off a reflective surface. Ooh.
No, it made him grow, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, it wasn't even a laser, was it? It was.
I don't remember what it was.
I don't know. It was probably.
I remember the
something
tank.
Or another.
I can't remember the title
Why
of
you
the
gotta go to the
I
tank?
can't remember the title of the story we reviewed 3 weeks ago. I'm going to remember what that was.
Modern Undead.
Ah, thank you. No, that was
No, it
3
wasn't.
weeks ago. Blood Tide.
Blood Tide. The prehistoric Earth is dying. Thunder clouds roll across the skies, cloaking the land of darkness. The seas crash and boil as the rain turns to acid. The remnants of the Silurian race place themselves in suspended animation deep below the surface. One day, they will awaken and reclaim their world.
How do you make a suspended animation
by
voice?
Sean Collins.
The TARDIS has landed on the Galapagos Islands, a desolate outcrop of rocks shrouded in mist and fear. In the settlements of Baquirzo Moreno, there are rumors that prisoners have been mysteriously disappearing from the jailhouse.
How long is this synopsis?
It's better than the one I found on Wiki.
Oh, okay.
A fisherman has been driven insane by something he saw in the caves. And the Doctor and Evelyn are not the only new arrivals. There's also a young natural philosopher by the name of Charles Darwin.
Dun, dun. And I can't give you the rest because I haven't finished it yet.
Done!
I'll let Keith go.
We're quite disappointed with Sean this week. He blames a busy week. I had so much going on. And he's the one that makes
won a major
the schedule.
award this week.
If you hadn't won an award, it would have been a major.
That's right. Because then I would have come home and
Major
done,
award.
It was amazing. I got a lamp.
Okay, here's a bit of serendipity for you. I was telling Glenn about this.
Oh yeah.
In preparations of Pirates, A Band of Misfits, the movie coming out in 2 weeks. If you haven't seen the trailer, go watch this. It's claymation. It's fantastic. It features...
I'm all for Nick Parks and the Artem?
Yeah, I think
animation studios. I can't believe you're this keyed up over this movie.
I would agree. I think he's
very surprised.
Obsessively keyed up over this movie. But let him finish.
But let me finish the story because there's a reason why. It also features
David Tennant's in it.
It features David Tennant.
He played a real role in Fight Night. I wasn't this excited.
These are based on books. A fantastic book series that I've read several of.
Okay,
and
well, I didn't
love the books. The books are hilarious. They're fantastic. They're very funny. Sometimes I read to Sarah, just randomly, and I've started reading the first book to her. And it's called Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists. And guess which scientists they encounter?
Darwin.
On the Beagle with Captain Fitzroy. I got to the point...
that's before he...
I got to the point where they meet Darwin. And, of course, this book is so left off the wall. Darwin in the book is, like, found an ape and shaved him and put him in a tux. And he's on the... it's really funny.
Anything to prove a theory.
Yeah. It's really funny. And so then I get to that point, and they agree to go off to England with him in the book. And then I come out... finish up The Spectre of Landing Moor, start Blood Tide that same night, and encounter Darwin again. How is that for serendipity?
It probably had a double, because it opens with what are obviously Silurians.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even before anything was said or done, it was like, we're going to put you on the surface. I'm like, oh, this is a Silurian episode. This is so cool. So you were probably just geeking all over yourself.
I was like, oh, yes.
And then Charles Darwin showed up on the Beagle, and you're like, oh, it's Charles Darwin! I can't get as excited about that, but I've not read the pirate book.
It's a 200-page book. It's a quick read. It's small, and it's so entertaining.
And we'll make sure that Keith puts the name of the book and the author in the show notes for Glenn to include.
Yes, Pirates and Adventure with Scientists by Gideon Defoe. There's also Pirates and Adventure with Ahab, Pirates and Adventure... Oh, I can't remember some of the... They're just ridiculous things for pirates to get into adventures with. Like, they had gotten into adventure... They make reference to it getting in adventures with, like, Indians or something. It just doesn't make any sense. It's things that should not mash, but he does such a good job mashing it.
I'm looking forward to the movie. I mean, I'm not as
Pirates
excited
get into a lot
about
of
it
adventures.
It's not excited about it as Keith.
It's just so tongue-in-cheek. That's what's great about it. Anyways...
Are these kids' books?
No, they're kind of adults. But I think they're going to tone it down a bit for kids. Because it is claymation. But from what I've seen of the trailer, there's a lot of the same humor there. So
Twice Upon a Time was not toned down.
Twice Upon a Time? Mm-hmm. I don't think I saw that one.
It was Luminary. What was the name of that animation process? I can't speak now. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what the.
There's a specific animation. It's like backlit flickering light behind what almost appears to be a crepe paper creation. It's very luminous. It's luminary something or another animation.
George Lucas.
George Lucas executive produced it.
I know.
And it
saw that
features the
one.
voice of...
Been so long since I saw it. I can't remember.
Lorenzo Music. No. Yes. No. Yes.
It's been a long time since.
As Ralph, the all-purpose animal.
Oh, David Tennant in the movie is playing Darwin.
Should we review Blood Tide?
Blood Tide now. So I go into that with this and the serendipity, and there's Silurians and there's Charles Darwin, and I absolutely love the story. This is so good.
I enjoyed this one myself.
I don't care what Chrissy says. I did not find Darwin whiny at all. I love the exploration of him struggling between what he's discovering and his beliefs.
I didn't find Darwin whiny. I did find Darwin a little too... not even so much whiny as I can't put my finger on what the word would be.
He's very conflicted.
He is conflicted, but I think they took that a little far. I don't think that it was conflicted in the sense he was whining about the fact. It was just he just kept trying to drill. He kept trying to drill it home. It was like he was trying too hard to convince himself.
Oh, I think he was,
and that was the problem I had with it. Is I don't know. I don't know what Darwin was like in those days, but
neither do I.
know he was definitely a God-fearing man.
Yeah. Yes,
he was definitely a Christian,
which is something a lot of people forget.
Absolutely, and he did have to come to terms with his discoveries. However, I thought that they really they went a little overboard with it, and so I agree with her in that aspect. I wouldn't consider it whiny, but I think he did good. They did go a little overboard with his assumptions of the.
He did constantly talk about his theories.
Yes,
which near the end, it's kind of like, okay, don't you talk about anything else? But at the same point, I thoroughly enjoyed it because he's so focused and so absorbed. It's kind of what I would expect from him.
I think part of the way, the dialogue for Darwin. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Written by Jonathan Morris was actually lifted from. There were actual lines lifted from The Voyage of the Beagle and Origin of Species, which are Darwin books. So. He went in there and literally lifted lines from those in order to make Darwin sound like Darwin. So,
I think the benefit that we have is that we watch a show called Doctor Who, where we take at face value anything they throw at us. And because we travel in the TARDIS with the Doctor and whoever the companion of the week happens to be, there's a lot of stuff that when it comes up, it's not surprising to us.
Yeah.
And so when you get a normal person, especially someone like Darwin, who is a Christian and is governed by a very specific set of scientific rules, that when he's given something that fits these scientific rules but then flies in the face of his faith, he can't accept it on the face value that we all just go, yeah, okay, it's an alien, or it's a, it's a reptile.
Absolutely.
Which he's got to work through that. I think that makes him sound whiny, even though it's not.
I think the betrayal is true to the nature of how somebody that's struggling with that would be. I think that they kept trying to drill that in to make that point, and I think they made that point early on enough that he was quite conflicted with this. The way that these two things work together, they didn't.
Well, I think if it had been anybody else, if it had just been random guest star character, it probably wouldn't have need to have been drilled home as much. But since
because
this is Darwin,
is.
then they kind of felt the need to keep pushing.
And I love the fact that the Silurians and the Doctor help form his theories.
Yes.
I thought that was cool. Fantastic.
Even though the Doctor warns Evelyn against that kind of thing.
but then... And Evelyn and Darwin were a great combination.
Yeah.
I mentioned to Glenn that one thing I didn't like about these three stories is the Doctor and Evelyn's chemistry is so great.
And then they split them up. Yeah, what's up with that?
But so much would happen if the two stayed together that it'd be like a one-episode story. So I appreciate that fact, and it lets Evelyn shine on her own.
It's not any more so than the way they would split Charlie and the Doctor up in the Eighth Doctor Adventures. They
Yeah.
were split up quite frequently.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that happens a lot. I think that happens a lot in the TV series. How many times did Tegan and Turlough go off and the Doctor was off with the brig?
It's a standard Doctor Who trope.
Yeah,
let's
it is a
split up
trope.
Team
And
TARDIS.
so it didn't seem, when you brought that up, I thought, yeah, they were separated a lot, but as I thought through it, I thought, not any more so than any other Doctor.
I just like their chemistry so much that it's never enough of the two of them together.
Even just watch Night Terrors, and Rory and Amy are split from the Doctor for nearly in the entire episode.
Story, yeah.
Greta
was annoying.
Greta was annoying. She was, and it I don't know. The accents don't ever bother me unless I'm very
Unless they're exaggerated caricatures.
no unless they're very
Unless they're deep south.
well, unless they're ingrained and I know what that kind of person sounds like.
Yeah.
But when you start doing foreign accents, I mean that didn't bother me too much. Their accent was quite off, but she was a little bit of a grating character.
She was almost like a classic companion of
concerned about her
screaming
brother.
constantly.
She was concerned about her brother. Her brother.
A butter.
Her butt.
Her brother. She was concerned about her
Oh,
brother.
I understood that aspect.
and
of
she
it.
wasn't in it too long, so that was good.
Yeah.
too. I mean,
The
she-
Merca.
Now, he was annoying.
Yeah, well, the brother, yeah,
The
he was
brother
quite
was-
annoying
the-
too.
the brother was
But,
very annoying.
Hey, he was seeing
integral.
devils. Seeing devils. Seeing devils.
Except they're not. They're
Nope, they're
Silurians.
not. They're Silurians.
Which, when the doctor's first explaining to her, did it sound like he hadn't encountered them before or didn't know their history of why they were underground?
The doctor?
No,
Yeah.
he totally knew.
The
he
first
totally-
time, I was like, well, you're leaving big chunks of this story out.
No, he
think I-
completely
And
knew.
then later he adds them back in.
I think it's
No.
because she's such a simpleton that he didn't
That
want to
could
bother
be
That's
her
what,
with
yeah,
that.
that's what I
Okay,
got
that's-
from it. He's not going to
that could
explain
be.
to this gal because she's,
I thought it
in a
was-
way, very primitive.
I
And so-
initially thought it as more of an info drop for the listeners than
No,
the woman.
Yeah,
not
it was
at
just.
all. Not at all.
I encountered.
I
it
think
before.
because
that's all you need to know.
they required that. I mean, we already knew that
Oh,
he had come across the end of scenes before. So,
But I find this interesting that this is also takes place world-wise long before he ever encounters them in his earlier
it
incarnations.
had. It absolutely had. He's
which I
got
thought
them
was
out of
really
order.
cool.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. That is true.
So let's talk about the big one.
The Merca.
Sighting, Merca sighting.
For those of you counting at
Our
home,
mascot is back.
And the Merca is so much more... It's what he could have always been.
Well, here's the thing: is though you can do a lot more with a character in audio when you're not seeing the
Well,
polystyrene.
They do a lot more with the
styrene walls and
Silurians in this, too.
And the really bad pantomime horse look. I mean, when your mind's eye is your only visual, that's the
Which...
nice thing about audio.
it goes
in the
one
very
step
beginning.
further than that too. We get the cliffhanger with the ship under attack, and I knew. I was
yeah.
like,
Actually,
bring it on.
quite-
I
quite-
really want this to be
Quite
what
honestly,
I think it is.
I thought it was Sea Devils. I thought that they were going to tell us the Sea Devils were in it. The first time I'd listened to this, I thought it was going to be the Sea Devils. I thought they were deploying the Sea Devils. I thought, oh, how clever! You know, the Sea Devils are like the Navy or the Marines for these Silurians. You know, the shock troops. But did you find out that it was a Merca?
Well, because they had mentioned the guy early about you've created these genetic abominations.
See, I thought
That's
that
where my
was the
brain
Merca.
went with it. That's where my brain with it. So when
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, we're under attack," and there's a thumping on the hull, I'm like, "Merca, Merca,
See,
Merca."
I thought
Merca,
the
Merca.
abominations were the Sea Devils. That they were a
I
split.
thought maybe that was it, too.
The
See, my
Silurians.
mind-
That the reason why they're cousins is because that
They
was
created
they
them.
had he had essentially created the Sea Devils out of Silurians, out of the Silurian gene. So, but
That would have been interesting,
So then we
too.
get to the end of the cliffhanger, and the part 3 starts, and it's the Merca, yay! And it's wrecking the ship, and which I don't know, a little disappointing.
As soon as they said, don't let it grab you, it'll electrify you.
It's got electric. Yay! I'm a little disappointed that the thing couldn't take out a wooden ship. Yes, I know it's not. We have to maintain the historical accuracy. It's the Merca. Come on, let it do something. And the Doctor even has a really.
Well, it does enough damage they have to repair the
Yeah,
ship.
they did.
He has a fantastic line. That was a fully grown adult Merca. Which all of a sudden justifies all the crap.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would
because
agree.
that one may not have.
That was
That
an
was a way.
adolescence.
It was a way to fix
one-
the Warriors of the Deep Merca. That's what it was.
The Warriors of the Deep Merca might have been a hatchling.
Yes.
It might have been. It might have been a Padawan Merca that had not yet grown to maturity.
It was a toddler.
And well, imagine the damage the toddler did. It went and stormed down the door and knocked a bunch of crap over, and I mean, it tore the place up pretty good. But it didn't look very appealing. I kind of get the impression from this that the Merca's like the Kraken. It's
Yeah,
got
they're
tentacles
just
and
huge.
just
Yeah.
massive
Not
and
tentacles, but
Well, I
they're
wouldn't say
huge,
tentacles, but huge, yeah.
but it could be.
Massive.
How does it swim? It's got that weird turtle shell fin that
No, that's true.
and genetic abomination. We're in the Galapagos Islands. We've got the tortoise.
I
that's
hate
true.
to ruin this for you because
Don't
you
spoil
didn't
it.
finish
No,
this.
I
Well, we are
didn't finish
reviewing this. The genetic abomination is not the Merca.
No,
Yeah.
but it
Did
could
you get
be.
that far?
No, he got to the Merca.
I got to the Merca. I got to the Merca
Oh.
attack and Darwin having his attack.
Shame on Sean.
And
Spoil
the Merca
away,
comes
Keith.
back.
Spoil away, Keith.
Well, the genetic abomination ends up being the humans.
Really?
That's why there's no missing link.
Yeah, he genetically
He
modifies
genetically
humans.
modified apes.
Way
And then
cool.
created Homo sapien.
Yeah.
I can't wait to finish listening to this thing.
And then they have this big
my admiration for this story, which was already up there, just
Skyrocketed, didn't it?
Awesome.
Which is the incredible thing, because you got Darwin here, who's learning about all this all along, and he's having to not only deal with the fact that there's natural selection and that evolution has taken place and the birds are different from one side of the island to the other. Suddenly, this is thrown at him.
But
That's
he
what's
can't,
incredible about
But
it.
then he can't reveal this information either.
The doctor actually tells him, I'm afraid we can't talk about this. He tells him and the captain both. I'm afraid you can't write
about
down.
this. You got to leave. You got to leave me and
Gotta leave us
Evelyn
out
out
of
of
this.
it. And then
And did you get the impression he showed up and was pretending to be Albert Einstein?
they
doctor
call
did?
him Einstein.
They did call
Somebody
him Einstein.
calls
They
him
call him
Einstein.
Albert, Dr. Albert, and then he stops.
they
and he
said
says,
Einstein.
They
"Just
said
the
Einstein
doctor." Oh,
earlier.
okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he says, because when he introduced him later, then he said, and this is Dr.
Dr.
Albert. No, he says, Dr. Albert, and he goes, just the doctor. So that's right, but he did say Einstein.
That part, which was funny. I mean, when he makes the comment, "Oh, you can always insert yourself into history if you know how." Okay, Albert Einstein, but why Einstein?
Yeah.
Of all of the doctors you could have
Who
impersonated,
wouldn't have come along until years later anyway? Because I
Right.
mean, well, not come along, but it hadn't come into his own until
Yeah.
several years later as well. So
I mean, couldn't you have impersonated, I don't know, a biologist? Surely there's other ones. I can't think of any off the top of my head other than Darwin, but surely there was one out there that would have been time frame appropriate. I mean, he could have been Pasteur. That wouldn't have been
But
any less weird.
they put the Einstein on him. He didn't suggest he was Einstein.
no, he did.
No, I think he did.
He had gone back. Remember, he told Evelyn that he had
Oh,
set
yeah,
this
that's
all
right.
up
That's
so
right.
that Evelyn, it's Evelyn in the States. Evelyn theory. It's
Smythe, not Smith here.
had set it up.
That's right.
Ahead of time, because that was her surprise, was coming here. And at first you think her surprise is that she gets to see these giant tortoises, and then you find out no, she's going to actually get to meet historical
Darwin,
people.
Which
Yeah.
means it's a tortoise. That's another thing I've taught us.
Which was a great
moment.
Lewis Carroll reference.
Was that just a total, like, David Ogden Stiers from Beauty and the Beast joke?
Yeah,
If it's not Baroque, don't fix it. That's totally who Colin Baker was channeling there.
I also like the fact that Shivak
yes.
turned tides against Tulak.
Yes,
And,
that was very well done. The
The
descent,
fact that
descendants in the
Yeah.
Silurian, well, essentially this group of Silurians, because that was the other thing that I thought was interesting, is that the doctor realizes that the timers on the beds
Were sabotaged.
so that they wouldn't wake up, and you get the impression that this instance sabotages even all the other pockets around the world, and so there were probably, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of these Silurian pockets all over the globe, and some of them were fortunate to have not been affected by the saboteur so much, and it almost lends the idea to the reason why some of those pockets wake up so much later.
Yeah.
Is in with Pertwee's era, and then later with Warriors of the Deep, is because of this saboteur, because of the this being sabotaged, and then.
So did they reveal who the saboteur was?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Tulak.
Tulak, yeah. Tulak was the saboteur.
And Tulak.
He was also the one that genetically modified the
and it was
into Homo
it's a
sapiens.
revenge thing because they sent
all
him to the
revenge.
surface to
So
live
now
with his abominations.
I'm sorry for bringing up remedial
That's right,
math here.
that's right.
How did he survive on the surface with his abominations?
Well,
Obviously, the apes took
here's
over the
the
planet.
other thing that
okay.
I had wished you'd heard this because
'Cause
the beginning
is
of
only
this,
part of that.
Well, the beginning of this seems like this is set millions of years ago,
Right.
When
Yeah.
it happens, but then we get that insert of audio again.
I got
Later,
the impression.
do you get the impression that that we're getting the flashback?
Yeah, it's a
The problem
flashback.
is it doesn't differentiate. Did you notice that? It just cuts to that,
It-
and then it
yeah.
cuts away. And so I thought
my
well, maybe
MP3
that,
player
maybe they're-
skipped.
See, and I thought the same thing. And I thought maybe they're trying to set this up as though this really happened more recently than we thought. And then the more that you listen to it, you get the filling in of what had happened. You get the impression that was just an insert of
And
audio
it was
from you. It
somebody
was kind of feeling this.
remembering.
Yeah, it filling
Yeah.
some more. They didn't do a very good job at all of letting us know
They
that that's
really
what was
could
going
have
on.
done with lost sound effect for flashbacks.
Absolutely, something, anything. In
Yeah.
there. I didn't want the,
Not
anything
that,
like that.
but
yeah, just something in there would have
You know, that
went
sound that
to
lost
realizing
What's wrong with harp music?
No, that was poor choice editing wise. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, they could have
However,
added effect.
assuming that is what it is, then yeah, he ends up not go. I'll just tell you the rest of the story, Sean. How's
Well,
that
I'm
sound?
still going to listen to it anyway.
No, he ends up going to the surface, but then ends up going back down after everybody has gone into
Because
their...
Shivak comes up and saves him.
Shavek brings him back.
okay.
She goes to the surface with him, brings him back down and rescues him. So,
And then I love the fact that the Merca comes back and ends up saving the day
yeah,
at the
that was
very
cool.
end.
That
When,
was cool. Well,
I guess we won't-
the fact that the doctor set the thing for self-destruct.
Well, yeah.
Which, boy, another pragmatic suicide doctor. I mean, Six really
they were
has
down
these
to 10
moments.
seconds.
Yeah, Six really has these moments of he sets up the bluff, but it's never a bluff.
Yeah.
He's really
gonna
done
do
it.
it.
He's gone and done it. And he realizes that he has from this point to this point to get what he needs out of it and get out of there. And he cuts it really close in this one. And I thought that was kind of cool, too. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to blame Silurians.
we mentioned that. You didn't finish CW. Now, you can't put this back on the schedule a year from now to listen to like you did Sea
We're
Devils
going to listen
for
to
Friday
it for
Night
Friday
Who.
Night.
But
That'd
yeah,
be
the
an interesting
Silurians,
Friday Night Who.
Silurians have seemed to stymie
They
you a
have
couple of
just
times.
been
now.
they've been the Merca in the soup. I
Yeah.
can't seem to get past them for some reason. I love them, but I can't do them on time. So I will finish my homework and
Blood
deliver
Tide,
the
fantastic.
end of my
Blood Tide
encapsulated
was,
review
was
next
very
week.
good. So we'll.
It's one of my favorites of the Big
Sean-
Finish that I've
we'll
heard.
give you 5 minutes next week. How's that sound?
I probably won't
See,
even need that
we-
much. But
we're being very
unless
fair.
it's more gushing about the Merca, because man, that was cool.
Anyway, what do we got coming up on the schedule?
On the schedule for next week,
We will be finishing the War Games.
Friday
For
Night Who. We're
Who.
going
Friday
to
Night
do, for those that couldn't join us, we did parts 1 through 5 because it's such a massive story.
It is 10
parts.
10 parts.
But
Luckily, that's split up between the two
did you guys
discs.
notice? And we're going to talk about this next week. But did you guys notice that those 5 parts we watched really kind of flew by?
Yeah,
They really
I agree
were.
with Chrissy. I
They're-
think it's more fun with friends.
It is more fun with friends. I did because I have seen these, and yeah, it really dragged. Because I was telling you guys, got the impression that this wasn't one of my favorite stories. We're going way into this. I'm sorry, but it is not one of my favorite stories. However, I'm enjoying it more this time. So I'll
Okay,
say that,
good.
and then I'll say more of it next week.
So for Friday Night Who, if you can join us, we push play at midnight, which technically, yes, is midnight Saturday morning, but we call it Friday Night Who. We'll start with part 6 and run up through the end of 10 on the War Games with Patrick Troughton. And then our show next week is all War Games all the time. We're just going to delve into it and
So send
build
in
it up
your
or tear it
review.
down or however it's going to happen. I don't know because I haven't seen the end of it.
and this is continuing.
That's
in our,
not true. I've seen the end of it, but never in context.
This is continuing in our Renegades.
Rogues and Renegades.
continuing in the Rogues and Renegades, and then
My
also
posting for Friday Night Who next week will be real easy.
I will have an updated upcoming schedule on the website for everybody to go to if you're looking for more homework. As I've kind of hinted or dropped hints at, after the War Games will be Arc of Infinity with Peter Davison going into the Fifth Doctor's era, and there will be more Big Finish coming. There will be more Sarah Jane adventures. You can get started on season 2.
And eventually more Torchwood.
Eventually more Torchwood. And if things work out the way we think that they're going to, as soon as we wrap up our Rogues and Renegades discussion, we probably will delve into all things Shada. So
Yeah.
that's on the horizon.
We've been remiss to mention that Children of Earth is now out on DVD and Blu-ray.
You mean Miracle Day?
Yeah, Miracle Day. I'm sorry. Miracle Day.
Children of Earth's been out on DVD
Yeah.
for quite a while.
Miracle Day came out a couple weeks ago.
Miracle Day did come out a couple
That
weeks ago.
slipped under my radar completely.
I was actually at Best Buy, had it in my hand.
I
and
saw the DVD and I thought about it, and then couldn't find the
the
Blu-ray.
retail price, they had it marked at $44. It was on sale for $39, and it's not that I didn't
The DVD
enjoy
or the
it.
Blu-ray?
The DVD.
Yeah.
I just couldn't quite bring myself to shell out $40 at that time for it.
Yeah.
Because it's something I have already seen. So it's kind of like, I'd rather, if I was going to buy anything, I'd rather go buy one of the Doctor Who DVDs that's been hitting the market. Unfortunately, 2 Entertain's been releasing a whole bunch of special editions. Not that I don't want to pick them up, because I do, but I've already seen them.
Yeah.
And so I'm
And
standing
you already
to buy
own
them
some
when
of
you've
them.
already seen
Yeah, I already own some of them. And I'm standing there with Billy, and I was like, Billy, if you could pick, because Billy's 13, so I figure his judgment ought to be sound, right? If you could pick any of these Doctor Who's to buy, what would you get? And he looked at me, and he looked at the shelf, and he goes, that one. Paradise Towers. Really? You want me to buy Paradise Towers? He goes,
Well, you don't own that one.
he says, yeah. I said, how come? He says, because I haven't seen that. And I had to argue, well, he's right. I don't own that
Valid
one yet.
arguments.
It's also one of the ones that's $19.99 versus $29.99. I did not. I refrained, but I know I'm going to wind up picking it up eventually anyway. So
All right.
we'll torture Keith with that one at some point coming up. You
So
want to talk Merca? Woo, baby.
Gosh. Well, it's no happiness patrol. All right. So anyway, that's going to do it for us this week. We got to get Keith off to work. Until next week.
Is there anything else you want to bring up so that you can delay going in?
I can't think of anything else.
All right. I'm Glenn.
Is there anything else you want to bring up
No.
to delay him going in?
He doesn't want to delay me.
Because I could talk. You want me to keep talking?
No,
I'm sure the listeners do, but sign out.
I'm Sean.
No, I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks for noticing.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.